Hi all, I'm Dan Smigrod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum. Today is Tuesday, March 20th, 2018, and you're watching WGAN-TV live at 5. Our topic today is 3DVUE, a third-party service for architectural 3D renderings, 3D floor plans, interactive services, other services, and how to actually sell in those services as a Matterport service provider. So first, joining me in the virtual studio audience, virtual studio is 3DVUE director Amreet Gill. Hey, Amreet, good to see you again.
Good to see you, Dan.
And you've brought a special guest with us with you today. Is I think one of your clients is Axel. Axel, how about introducing yourself for us?
Hi everyone, my name is Axel von Krusenstierna Engvall. I am a founding partner of Objekt360, a Matterport service provider in Sweden.
And also the winner of the 2018 Maddie Award, Maddie Awards winner. So congratulations on that, Axel.
Thank you.
Great. Amreet, how would you like to start off today? You have one of your clients with us. Do you want to give kind of an overview of 3DVUE and then kind of jump in?
I'm going to do a quick intro, and then I'm going to bring in Axel, and we're going to discuss how we came together, two businesses, and how we work together on the projects that we've worked so far. So as an introduction, 3DVUE, I started the business in 2015 as a Matterport service provider. In 2016, we pivoted the business, and we are now 100% a 3D visualization company. So that is providing services for the unbuilt developments within Australia. I'm based in Melbourne, which is down in the south of the country, and over that period of time, we've approached about 200 projects for clients. These include architects, developers, builders, interior designers, and also marketing agencies. So we work on and off, mostly with architects, developers, and builders. I started with real estate agents for the Matterport product. And through those contacts, it was a natural, organic transition to providing off-the-plan services, what we call here in Australia off-the-plan services, through those real estate clients' contacts. They introduced me to developers and builders, and I naturally grew the business through them. Going on just a little bit further, my personal backstory is I have quite a detailed background in creative design. Education-wise, I have qualifications in multimedia design and also 3D animation. So I've had an interest in architectural visualization since I was in high school, and that transition in 2016 was something that was quite natural to me, and I decided that this is something that I want to pursue for the next 5, 10, 15 years. And it's working really well for the business, and we're growing every year. And Axel approached me in, I think it was December, to start offering our services for his company. So I guess I could bring you in, Axel, at this point, and you can give just a quick overview of how that happened.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for that, Amreet. Well, basically, we always kind of knew that tending to all our customers' needs is the way to go, being a Matterport service provider, because it doesn't stop at just 3D tours. We very quickly shifted from being only doing Matterport 3D tours to also doing photography, doing floor plans, approaching Amreet and getting all of his services into our network. We've also been an early adopter of the Archeologic platform, as well as many of the Matterport beta programs. And we like new technology basically that we like to, take it into consideration and use it towards our own market here in Sweden in the way we see fit together with our companies. Being a one-stop shop as a visual services partner, I guess you could say, really diversifies its risk and outpaces competition for us. So very early on in our stage as an MSP, we realized that our customers, they need more than Matterport service tours, and we can't be best at everything ourselves. So we chose the networking approach in terms of partners and colleagues and systems and new products and such. And yeah, we like to say that all our partners, as of now, are best in class. And that's how we ended up working with Amreet, really.
Fantastic. Do you want to talk about how each of our services benefit you and your clients?
Absolutely. I can tell you that the products that we are running the most right now is renders. Renders is a picture that does not exist. It is built upon architectural information, such as floor plannings, such as material specifications, and this kinds of information, where we basically we talk to the client, we understand their needs, we get to know what the project is all about, who the potential customer is. We send the information to Amreet, and then yeah, they visualize an unbuilt space, I guess, being able for our clients to sell a space before a physical listing is even possible by using Amreet's renders. They also have a very cool product, 360 renders, yes, which is not only a render as a still image like you would see on a photography, but like the Matterport approach with the 360, being able to turn around.
Could I show that? Sorry, could I show that, Dan? I can share my screen.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Got an example of the project we actually worked on.
Yep.
If I can get this to work. Let's see this one here. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a project that, this is the first project that we worked on with Objekt360. It is a commercial development, so a visualization of an interior space of a commercial development. So this is the 360 panoramic render that we produced for them. So as you can see, it's very similar to the Matterport process. We can spin around and we can see it in all directions. So how this worked was, I'll go into detail about the actual production process a little bit later, but just in a quick overview, Axel came to me and said, I've got some drawings. I've got a client who wants to visualize this space. The client provides the architectural blueprint as PDF format. And then we take that drawings and we actually generate the 3D model. The interior design is provided via a mood board, which the client also provided us. It's usually a PDF document, which includes sample images as to how they wish to design the interior space. So they could block it into different sections. For instance, this section here, if this particular room or this side here is to be designed in a certain manner in terms of the furniture and the color palette, that would have its own mood board. So that could apply for any individual space within the shot. So I'm just going to spin around so you can see. In this particular shot, not only did we create the interior visualization, but we also created the exterior parts of this building and the roads, and everything you see outside the window of the building is also completely computer generated. So I'm going to skip to, we did 3 shots for this particular project. And this is more of an interior office area. All those people are 3D models. Also, this has, once again, its own mood board. And the final shot is a terrace shot from the top level of the building. And the photo that you see in the distance is a drone photograph, once again provided by Axel. So we integrated that into the 360-degree render. And we render at a size, or we can adapt to the client's needs, but this was done at about 6,000 pixels. And that allows you to actually zoom in a little bit and see some details if the client requests that.
And how does the, Axel, how did the client share this?
It's being shared on a project site for this specific building being built.
Let's see, in terms of the platform used to host?
Yes, it is. Okay, we actually did the end using a 360-based production software called the 3D Vista.
Okay, 3D Vista in terms of a self-hosting platform for the 360s that were rendered by Amreet's company, 3DVUE.
Sorry, I think my internet is picking up a bit.
Jump in, but yes, in essence, Dan, that is exactly what happened.
Okay. So for the benefit of our audience, this is the magic of television. We literally are on 3 different continents, coming to you from Australia, Europe, and Atlanta. And so we've created a bridge, and sometimes that bridge is a little bit not quite as nice as we would like it. And unfortunately, Axel may be having a little bit of trouble staying up with us in real time. Yeah.
That's okay. So just to carry on with just before I move off the 360 renders, we can also take individual still renders from the 360, similar to how you would do it in Matterport, or we can actually generate an individual, what we call a single shot camera render. So if the client said, I want to take a shot from this position here, looking back, we can also do that.
Yeah, Amreet, looking at your work, and I've been, all over your website, 3dvue.com.au, 3D as in Dan, V as in Victor, U, E as in Edward.com.au. And one of the things that strikes me is like you create magic for your clients. These are renderings that you have to do a double take to say, is real or unreal?
Thank you.
And there's no difference between looking at a space that is unbuilt. You use the word unbuilt. I sometimes refer to it as pre-built. We're looking at an unbuilt space. It doesn't exist yet. And yet when we look at it, our mind is saying, is this real? It is that good. So, congratulations on the level of work that you're doing. And I'm sure that's why Axel is excited in behalf of his clients, looking at what we're looking at here. It's just as if it was real. Frankly, it's probably better because the sky is blue, the clouds are puffy. Well, I guess even that's how the drone shot it, but that looks enough photorealistic that when it's merged with the unbuilt portion, it actually just comes across as this is a finished space.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. Yeah, the photograph, the drone photograph, there's quite a fair bit of photoshopping work required to actually blend the two, the real and the unreal portions of the image together seamlessly. So that's probably one of the tricky parts in terms of the post-production stage, to get that realistic blend of both spaces.
Mm-hmm. And how long before this building was existed, was this work done?
This building, I think, is still under construction, if I'm not mistaken, Axel. So
yes, this building is planned to be completed at 2020.
Yeah, 2020. Great. I have plenty of questions, but I think, Amreet, for your benefit, why don't you lead us through what you'd like to show us with Axel, and then I'll hold off on my questions.
Certainly. Okay, so this is the 360 renders service. So it's not available just for commercial. It's also available for residential developments. I'm going to jump off this, and I'm just going to head over to PowerPoint. So the first part of the presentation today, I will be talking about our standard services, which is still image renders and 360 panoramic renders. This is our core part of our business. About 80% of the products that the work that we actually do is 3D renders, still image renders. The interactive services is something that we're just really getting into. We've been dabbling in it over the last year or so. And 2018 is really the year that we're going to break it out, and we're going to really push on and start offering that service to clients worldwide. I want to talk about a new service that we're actually integrating this year. That is virtual staging. Axel, I believe you came to me with a proposition from one of your clients. Could we take an empty room and furnish it? And this was the photo that Axel actually presented to myself. and said,
I'm not sure that I'm looking at it. I'm still looking at the first Architect 3D rendering. I'm out on the deck looking at the clouds. Why don't you come out of screen sharing and then we'll go back into screen sharing? Yep, there we go. Virtual staging.
Okay.
And we have the parquet floor.
Yes. All right. So this is the photo that was presented to me. As you can see, the building is somewhat in disrepair. And I was given the challenge, can you furnish it and make it beautiful? That was the challenge. That was the brief that was presented to me. So we went away, and about a week later, we came back with what I'm about to show you. So as you can see, this is the same room, fully furnished. Axel, do you want to talk about it, especially from your client's perspective?
Absolutely. I mean, this is for realtors, obviously, not for the commercial. They have this problem every day. I mean, they are smoked inside, and it's the interior design may be very terrible. So they have this problem to convince people to see what the potential of a space, which Amreet here very beautifully illustrated for them with this service, the digital staging, as well as the fact of here in Stockholm or in Sweden as a market, we are seeing that the styling, the fact where you pay maybe $3,000, something like this, to have a professional place furnished inside your house. It's a lot of money. Not all the listings can afford this sum of money. As well as the administration behind, moving the furniture and having it styled and having it placed. So the ease of use with working with Amreet and his team by simply providing a photo and a simple instruction and receiving a delivery like this, it's impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, so the client was happy. I think the feedback was they really liked the service, and I think they're going to roll it out. Yeah, to all their clients. So we're very happy with that.
A follow-up for Axel. Was the virtual staging used by the real estate agent to get the listing, or was it used to sell the property, or was it both?
Well, essentially, this order we are looking at as of right now, it was used to sell the property. But looking forward, we have received some very exciting proposals from very large firms in terms of this product. And I mean, I'm sure that the market is the same in many different countries when it comes to being a real estate agent. You need to differentiate yourself. So people are really excited about this potential differentiating product.
Fantastic. Okay. Thank you, Axel. So I'm just going to carry on. We're still going to stay on the topic of virtual staging. I'm just going to show you some other examples. We don't only just do internal staging. We can also, in this case, in this photo, we can do external staging. So this was a photo, outdoor backyard terrace area. So this is the original photo, and this is the staged photo. And you'll probably notice we also corrected the horizontals and verticals. Look back the original, especially down here. Horizontals and the verticals, we wanted to make sure they were all lined up. And this is from a different angle, the same space. So we really go above and beyond in terms of this product, in terms of making it look as photoreal as possible. And I think we've the feedback that we've gotten from Axel and the client and their clients has just been amazing, and we're very thrilled to now start offering this service for all WeGetAround Network members. In fact, we are actually going to offer it only for WeGetAround Network members for the time being. It's not something that's going to be published on the website. It's only for WGAN members. I've got a few more examples. This space is, once again, this is a fantastic photograph in terms of the camera angle and the lighting. But the reason I want to bring this up is Axel, his client advised him that he wanted two sections of this photograph tweaked. The two sections in this case were the material of the doona and the pillow. The texture, they wanted it to be removed. So he came to me and said, can that be done? Could we remove the texture and just make it a plain gray color? So yes, we can. So we can remove individual and modify individual textures to match the exact requirements of the client. So this is the actual finished render stage. So you can see the difference. Also, we've tweaked the lighting, the contrast to make it blend in a little bit better. Now this example, this is quite an interesting, this is a tough one. This is probably the most toughest shot we've worked on. What you're looking at is not a photograph. What this actually is a screenshot from a Matterport 3D scan taken through a, I think it was through the editor. So this is a commercial space, office space, and we were tasked with the job of staging it as a working, fully furnished office environment. So this is the finished product. It was more of a test to see whether we could actually do it. And I think the output it's pretty good. I'm relatively happy with the way it turned out. As you can tell, the lighting and the angles is not the best, but we've managed to do the best that we can for this particular shot. So what I'm trying to say here is that now you can actually stage screenshots from a Matterport 3D scan. And
this one was for Axel?
Correct.
Yeah. Again, it looks photorealistic to me, real. You could almost do a slide presentation and say real, unreal, real, unreal. Which one is it? Because it's that good.
Yeah. So very happy with this one. Do you have anything to add, Axel, at all, or?
No, I'm just excited about Dan's comments because that is actually how the product is packaged, with a slider between reality and what it could be in the future.
And how about your client's reaction?
No, I mean, this is a product that basically it doesn't exist in this quality in our market. So they are very pleased to receive this kind of production from a simple question, which is, how can you show the client the potential of the picture? What can we do? Can we improve the walls? Can we make it look more can we sell it more? So we took the question to Amreet, and he gave us a fully furnished shot from a Matterport Pro photography. So we're very, very pleased, client as well.
And Axel, was this for the space to be sold, to be leased?
Leased.
And so the client might be looking at a 7, in the US, it would be something like a 7-year lease would be typical.
7 year, perhaps 3 years, something like this.
So a 3-year lease. I would imagine there's many. Do you happen to recall how many square meters a space is? Is it what we're looking at, or this portion of the total space?
Yes.
Yes.
This specific space is approximately square feet. If it's square meters, it's 600. I think it's 1 to 10, if I'm not mistaken. It's only a part of the object, the space.
So I would imagine in this case, correct me if I'm wrong, Axel, but your client, either the property manager or the real estate agent or broker, was using this in order to help generate a 3-year lease on the space. And this is probably a portion of the space. It's probably a much larger space. This is just an example of a piece of that property that's available for lease.
That is correct.
Okay. And then I could imagine that once you've done this once for the client to help lease out the space, now your client's able to use this tool to get more clients to say, this is the kind of marketing that we can help you with your property. I imagine this becomes...
I'm sorry, Dan, I was disconnected.
Yeah.
Just go back.
So thank you for reconnecting. Axel, I would imagine that when your client used this in order to generate a 3-year lease, then it seems like the next logical thing would be to say, okay, they're going to go out and pitch to get new business of more spaces to represent, and they're taking this kind of work with them to say, this is an example of how we're going to market your property, which probably needs some help, just like this property needed, in order to show it in its best possible light.
Actually, this client, I mean, we have a very large spread of different clients. Amreet is just choosing some examples from what we're doing together. But just this specific shot is for a real estate owner. It's a 600 square meter office property. So they basically want to use marketing tools to attract as many potentials as possible. This includes the Matterport, this includes Archeologic, this includes professional still photos and drone photos, and this includes digital staging from Amreet.
So this is an example of some of the work now that becomes part of your portfolio. So when you go in to see your next potential client, you're not walking in just as we're a Matterport service provider. We're a Matterport service provider, and we provide 5 other services, both for existing spaces that haven't been built yet, and spaces that have been built but need some help in terms of showing them in the best light.
I'm sorry, I'm having very bad connection.
Yes, Amreet, perhaps you
can. But I believe about what kind of we provide.
Okay, Amreet, perhaps you can pick up on that.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, I would imagine in this particular case, even though it was the client was the actual property itself, so the client's sole focus was to enhance the property in order to lease it faster, get
Correct.
The most money for it.
That's right.
But I would imagine that what's happening, and I apologize, our audio connection is not great, so we keep losing Axel in Sweden. That he now has a portfolio as he keeps adding solutions that you're doing for his company, Objekt360, that he now has a portfolio that includes Matterport, photos, 3D renderings, 360 renderings, virtual staging, and likely some other services you're about to show us as well.
That's exactly right. So that's what we've been doing. We're building a portfolio of Objekt360 to showcase to new clients, and also to revisit existing clients to let them know that now we provide services beyond Matterport and photography and drone photography and video services. Yes,
because I would imagine that many of our viewers of WGAN-TV are Matterport service providers. And that one of the challenges may be over time getting maybe squeezed on price because you may be competing just only on offering Matterport. And so this is one of those ways to differentiate yourself by offering 3D renderings, virtual staging, and some other services that you're going to show us, so that you can enable one order for many services. A Matterport service provider who understands, 3D renderings to be able to show. We handle unbuilt, we do built, things that are already built but need to be modified. And I would imagine that Axel is maybe getting more traction in Sweden because he is operating a full service, not just of traditional photography, 3D photography, but also the services that 3DVUE is providing.
That's like, you hit the nail on the head, Dan. That's exactly what I'm offering to the WGAN community, is to expand your services beyond, I guess, for the built industry, but now also for the unbuilt industry.
Okay. Are there other things that you want to show us, or you want to take us off?
I'm going to keep going. So just through this natural progression of offering this virtual staging service, we were also asked, can we do other similar services such as cleanup? So this example, we've got a bathroom render, and up the top, the client wanted to remove those bottles. It's something that we can also do. So we can clean up shots of spaces that aren't very well finished or decorated. And in this case, this is quite an extreme example. So I'm just going to show it to you, the after. In this case, we've removed this cabinetry. And we could go also fine-tune certain details. So if you look at the couch at the bottom left, and if you just keep an eye on some of these details here, we can also clean them out too. And final couple more examples. Here is another before and after. And this is something quite new, virtual landscaping. So we can clean up someone's backyard or front yard if necessary. So we can, obviously the previous photo was showing probably around winter, autumn time, no leaves in either trees. We can actually add that in. So we can give it a spring, summer look. So that's another service, a natural progression from virtual staging.
Mm-hmm. Virtual landscaping. Okay, great.
Okay, before I show that, that's pretty much in terms of the showcase for these three services. The next stage is to get into the interactive services.
And have you been doing those for Axel's company, Objekt360?
Not yet. Not yet. That's something that we'll probably get into in due time. At this stage,
we got him now. Let's ask him for the order. Yeah. You ready? Axel, we'd like the order for 3D View. Did you bring your checkbook with you today? We accept PayPal. What else do you got, Amreet? You got PayPal, Visa, MasterCard?
Oh, the whole works. Yeah.
Okay. Alex, Axel, how's your audio now? Are we back to? No, we lost your microphone. So it was a good try, but it was a good try switching. We can't hear you at all, Axel, and I don't have you on mute. All right, Amreet, take us through some more services you got.
Yeah, so I was bringing Axel primarily just for this first part of the presentation. So if he's having some technical issues, he can jump off. That's fine. So I'm going to move on to the interactive.
Yeah. Well, we'll come back. I'm sorry. I have a lot of questions, but let me let you get through your presentation. And I think Axel probably, if I tell you what, Axel, if you have a question, maybe we have a little chat window off to the side. And if you want to just type in a little chat question, that might help us if you'd like. So we can still bring you back into the conversation that way, perhaps. Okay.
Okay, so continuing on, I'm going to talk about the two interactive services, SparkVR and SurrealVR. I'll start with the SparkVR service. So on our website, there is an example already. So what this is if you've got a client, say an architect or developer who wants to visualize say an apartment unit. So in this case, this is a 2-bedroom apartment. I'm just going to make it full screen. So we have a 2-bedroom apartment unit. The client, once again, would provide us with the necessary documentation in order for us to actually build the space. And this process takes about 3 weeks on average. For example, this one that I'm going to walk through it took about 3 weeks to produce. So this allows you to visualize any space. It's not just residential, be it an apartment, a house, can also be a commercial office plan. And effectively allows you to walk through and visit each space, as I'm doing now. Great thing about this tool is it's easy to share. As you can see on my website, it's simply an iframe embed code that I would provide the client.
Hang on, we're at a. I don't think we're on the right slide.
Sorry,
because you're sharing a piece of your screen, so we can't see the whole thing.
That's right. One second. Let me do that again.
You can either come out of screen. There we go. Okay, great. Because I know what you have is this is magical to me. I've looked at this solution. Okay, remind me which one this is. This is SparkVR. SparkVR. Okay.
Correct. So this service Well, I won't go back into it too much. I've just mentioned it.
Let's walk around a little bit just so we get some of the effect, because to me this is Matterport for unbuilt spaces.
Yeah, I guess that's probably the best way to think of it. So so this was once again produced for a client of an apartment development. I think they have about 20 units in total. If you go outside, once again, the client can provide a drone photograph, a 360 panoramic, which we will wrap on the exterior. So the user can actually see what the view is going to be like from that particular unit height.
And with virtual reality as well.
Correct. This supports VR out of the box. So if you view this on your smartphone, say with a Google Cardboard or with the Samsung Gear VR device, it's VR straight out of the box.
And I don't see it on this. I don't see the menu, but I recall that I could look at this space by simply click. Yeah, there we go. So living room.
There's actually a button that will appear down the bottom if you view it on a VR on your smartphone. So if you just click that, it'll split it in half. And then you'll get the left right.
Yes, that's for the virtual reality. But I'm looking at the menu up on the top right that says living room, kitchen, master bedroom, master.
Yes, this menu. These are bookmarks. So we can provide that for the client if they want to showcase individual spaces. So for example, if I wanted to click on the master bedroom, it'll just jump straight there. And this little squiggly line is pretty much an auto run tour. So if I were to click that, that would just cycle through each of those bookmarks. So if the client wants to showcase this on, say, a big screen in a display suite, they can just click that button and let it run. So it'll just loop continuously.
And in the top right menu, we see it's changing color so that you know that which bedroom you're looking at. Is it the guest bedroom? Is it the guest?
That's right.
Bedroom, yeah.
And if you happen to have it on full screen and you're walking through with a client showcasing each space, if you just want to quickly jump to a different part of the space, you can just press either pretty much the number keyboards. The numbers on your keyboard. So if I press number 4, it's going to jump to this guest bathroom. So number 1, once again, you'll just cycle through. And I'm just clicking.
I didn't see myself in the mirror in the bathroom.
No, this would not, because there's nothing there. That's why you don't.
So you know, for those watching, I just can't emphasize this enough. This space does not exist. This is an unbuilt space. We may, Axel, Amreet, we may be the three of us taking it for granted that we're just walking through this space. But if you know, you got to focus just for a moment as this space doesn't exist. It is totally 3D view rendering a three-dimensional tour that you can walk through the space, visit the bathroom, the bedroom, the living room, the kitchen. So I think of it as Matterport for unbuilt spaces.
Yes.
Yeah. It's remarkable. Yeah.
One new feature that we're going to be launching, hopefully by the end of this month, is the ability to actually change the materials within the space in real time. So if, for example, the client wanted to change the wall color, maybe give it a bit of a light gray color, something that we can do via an off menu system. So we can change pretty much any material within the given space.
Axel, did we get your audio back by chance?
I hope so. You tell me, really.
Yeah, it's great. So when you look at this, I know you have. I don't think you've engaged 3D view yet for something like this. But what is playing in your mind when you do this kind of walkthrough through this this 3D view service?
Well, really, it's what comes to me, which is like the best selling point, really, when you're approaching a customer with this kind of product, is the potential for a person on the internet just to move freely. I mean, it's not a designated 5 pictures to look at, or you have to click play on a film or something like this. It's like Matterport. It's freedom of choice. If you like the bedroom, then go explore the bedroom. If you want to check the view, then go and check the view. It's the choice of the user. Which is a really great selling point.
Do you think you'll be able that your company Objekt360 in Sweden will be able to pick up more business as a result of this kind of solution?
If I told you the kind of clients we have won utilizing this team that we have as of today, together with 3D View, among others, it's really been an awesome business driver for us. We focus on the Matterport side of things, and we have our partners like Amreet for these kinds of things. So it's really been a fantastic addition to the business.
I could imagine that some of your first clients that you walked in to talk to them, maybe a property manager, and it was a specific a building, and you were thinking, oh, I'm going to scan your space. And they said, no, we don't really need help with that property, but we have something coming on in 18 months. Can you help us with that? I imagine, I'm just guessing that that's kind of what sparked this kind of discussion originally. Am I close? Not close?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But I would say that the driving factor for us was that, I mean, annually, maybe our company does, I don't know, maybe 250 sales meetings with realtors, something like this. And in these discussions, they see us like, okay, the 3D company, you work with 360 3D tech, it's visualizing tech. So when they think of, okay, this builder that I'm also selling property for as a realtor is asking me, do I have any contacts? And then they come to us because, oh, the data guys, the picture data. And then they come to us and tell us, can you do this kinds of service? And this happens 3-4 times a week almost. Old clients, or not even clients, but prospects, leads we have been meeting out in the field. They contact us and ask us, can you do this kind of work? And can we get it set up? Because I think, at least in my own market, there is a gap. There are a few providers, but not so many. The demand is larger than the providers, basically.
Yeah, Amreet, let me know if this question, if you'd rather me table it, but I'm just really curious about Axel. I would imagine Objekt360 has the trusted relationship with the client. You're the go-to. You're bringing in a third-party service. Do you have angst because you feel like the client is now, oh, thanks for the introduction, I'm off and running with all these other companies? Amreet, can we do this question now, or do you want to wait for later when I ask Alex that?
Could we wait till later?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Great. Alex, if you, Axel, if you don't mind, I'd love to ask to
cover. Yeah, we can get back to this. No problem.
Okay.
All right. So just finishing up here, I'm not going to go into too much on the technical side of it, how it's put together, because the process is a little bit different to the 3D renders. I'll discuss that in the production process slide towards the end. But once again, the ease of use is probably the best part of this. Like I said, it's an iframe embed code I provide the client, gets embedded into the client's website and accessible on any device, PC, Mac, smartphone, tablet, fully VR out of the box. So there's really not too much in terms of restrictions. And once we add the material, the live material editing in real time, there we go. It's just going to take off. And I'm actually more excited about this product than I am about the Surreal VR, because of the ease of use and the simplicity of this tool and how quick we can get it online and live for our clients. So yeah, really exciting where this particular tool is headed. I'm just going to jump it out and I'm
okay, so that was 3D View Spark VR, and now you're going to take us into 3D View Surreal VR.
Correct. Okay. So for that, just a bit of I'm going to have to do the whole change the screen.
Yeah, if you need to come out of share screen and then reshare screen, it's fine.
Okay. So now Surreal VR is a tool that's built on a game engine. Some of you who may be watching may be familiar with it. It's based off the Unreal Engine. So it's using that technology to visualize, once again, an unbuilt space. So this is the visualization of a house. It's the one that's on the website, the video, the YouTube video. So this is the actual, hopefully you haven't gone and you can see everything on the screen.
We presently just see your PC menu.
Okay, so it hasn't done the transition. Let me exit.
Again, if you want to stop screen sharing, you can then pick which one you want to, which screen you want to share.
So now if I share the desktop, does that mean it'll showcase any screen?
Yes.
Okay.
But you could come out of screen sharing and then select which part of the screen you want to share to. Right now, you're sharing your entire screen. So
Okay.
we are seeing. We're still seeing your menus on your PC.
Okay, let me just quickly grab this before this one. Hopefully this works.
Yes.
Yes.
Now we're on the path to enter the front door.
Okay. So this is a house that I'm hoping has already been built, but at the time when we actually produced this, which was back in late 2016, it hadn't even started yet. This is a 75 square home. It's a luxury home for a luxury home builder.
And I'm hearing the music. Maybe you could just turn the sound off on the computer, competing with you a little bit. Unless you want us to hear the music, it's competing with you.
Oh, hang on.
I hear a piano.
Momento.
Maybe another application is open and it's running in the background.
Is that a bit better, or?
I'm hearing a piano playing lightly.
Well, I haven't added an option to disable the sound. For this particular demo.
I'm requesting the feature.
Yeah, well, we can do that. I'm just going to run through. Sorry, and I'm also having some issues with the mouse, trying to get it to actually click, which is odd.
And again, for our WGAN-TV viewers, we're mashing up so many different technologies. It wouldn't surprise me if things get stuck. But when you actually experience this firsthand, it is crazy exciting.
It is.
And so I'm sure Amreet will figure it out. But again, I'm in Atlanta. Amreet is in Melbourne, Australia. Axel is in, I want to say, Stockholm, Sweden. Fond memories of visiting. And in the meantime, we're running the Unreal Engine, and then we're trying to do a player, and we're doing a share screen. So I just imagine that it's a little bit of a challenge. Do you want to close it out and restart it? Do you want to try that?
We can try that. Yeah,
and I'd come out of screen share until you know that you're ready to share it. Why don't we do that? That sounds good. So, and then Amreet, while you're doing that, Axel, I'll go back to that question about you introduced a third-party service. Are you ever concerned that they're going to work directly with the third party?
No, not really. I mean, we work with Matterport, we work with ArchLogic, we work with Amreet, we work with a separate company for floor plans, another company for professional still pictures. So for us, it's not a problem. It's a matter of, creating business flows that everybody's happy with, because when everybody's happy, the business works. So that's the general strategy.
So you're the trusted relationship here. They're not looking to go around you. Is everything transparent so that they know this is Amreet Gill with 3DVUE and and so forth? So they're not rebranded as your service.
They are, let's say like this, we package everything under our brand to avoid confusion, because we have business systems where the order portals and such, they order, with workflows. But in the marketing materials, every single, we see it as a unique selling point for ourselves to promote our third-party partners, since we know that they are best in class.
We'll share your screen a little bit later so we can actually maybe take a look and see that. Amreet, we're looking at your PC menu. Is that where you wanted us to be?
So you can't see the house?
Nope. We're just looking at your PC menu. Again, if you come out of share screen and then pick which portion of the screen you want to share.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm clicking on.
At the very top of the screen, it says stop share in red. Yep. Okay. So you've stopped sharing. Now, when you go share screen, you can also, I think, turn off the audio so that we don't hear the audio on the broadcast. But you should be able to isolate the window that you want to share with us. Just click on that.
Yep. So I've selected that.
Okay. And you're starting to share screen, and let's see what comes up. Yep, we're back to your PC menu.
So you don't see. So you don't see the house.
Nope.
That's very odd. Let me try that. Can you see it now?
Now we do. Yep.
Now? Oh, fantastic.
And the
Right.
house is moving. Yep.
Fantastic. All right, so let's begin. So this is Surreal VR. This is the next evolution from Spark VR. Once again, it's based on Unreal Engine technology. In a nutshell, it just means that we can produce something that's more visually more appealing, more photorealistic, as close as we can. And we have full control over every aspect of the space that we're walking through. We can make dynamic changes, so we can change materials, we can change objects, we can swap out objects. So you're not restricted to anything.
Well, walk us through. Show us this.
Yeah,
this
so, for example, the exterior. This was built for a custom home builder, luxury home builder, who are using it in their display suite to advise clients that these are the options in terms of colors that we have. Go through, choose what you like, and then we can implement that in your build for your home. So, for example, the exteriors wasn't the purpose of this particular, wasn't the goal for this particular client, but we just added in there just to show them that it's possible. For example, if the client wanted to change to a brick facade, that's something that we can do. Or if they want to stick with a rendered facade, and then here we can change the window frame colors. So I'm just going to move in to the interior because that was the
love it. How exciting is that? That's to be able to pre-visualize before you build the house. Do you like the red brick or do you like the sandstone?
That's right.
Are you happy with this color or that color?
So here we are into the main living room.
Okay. And once again, the picture's blurring on our screen, but I know that we don't see that. I think that's just the latency of our transmission is causing that. So I just, again, you have such a, your 3D, your 3D view surreal VR is such an amazing solution. And it sometimes when we do a demo on WGAN-TV Live at 5, it doesn't look as good as it could or should because of the latency between our 3 continents. Anyway, I just want to put that in there for you.
So I can assure you on my side, it is crystal clear, smooth, and it looks amazing. For example, in terms of I was mentioning the dynamic options, here we can change the architraves for the window. So the molding around the windows is something that we can also change. So just to give you an idea that there are no restrictions. Timber flooring, which is a common change that clients request. We can change that on the fly. If we walk into the
wish I had that when my wife and I redid our
you wouldn't believe how many times I've been told that. And how many business owners say, I wish I had this for my own home.
Yeah, I know the contractor came into our house and sanded his ginormous space in order to put down 3 different samples so that we could stare at it. And I don't think it was, just in your visualization of what you did, seeing not a swatch of the floor change, but the entire floor change. Wow, isn't that powerful?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So here we're in the bathroom, and once again, if the client wanted to offer various options for the bathroom tiles, that's something that we can do also. So we can change that in real time. If they wanted to change the shower mixer, we can do that too, but I haven't got it enabled for this demo. If they want to switch out the toilets, that's something that we can do also.
And I want to say that I could look at this on an HTC Vive and
yes.
Oculus,
so the platforms that are supported with this particular tool are PC, Mac, in terms of the desktop experience, and in terms of the VR experience, it's HTC Vive, Oculus Rift. We can also output to web. So similar to Spark VR, we can create a HTML5 HTML5 output that gets embedded into a website. So it'll be very similar to this Spark VR experience.
I lost you there. Am I embedding iframe or I'm embedding the real engine player?
The Unreal Engine player. Okay. Yes. So here we have the kitchen area. So this is actually the main area for the client, how they're going to be using it. So if the clients are, an Euro black for the island bench top, and then the bench top towards the back here. I don't know, let's say they wanted that Milky Way, wanted it all black.
And you have the light reflection in there.
Correct, yes. We can have that showcasing too. So you can see the details in the actual texture maps that we're using. So the client can provide that with us, can provide that to us if they have that available. Otherwise, we can go online and source it from the manufacturer. We will actually take it from their website and use it within the actual environment. So for this example here, I mean, above below sync and above sync. That's an option there for this particular client. So we can have things moving. As you can see, we have a ceiling fan, we have a fireplace. In this case, we have a TV that we can, that's actually that's hidden behind a painting.
Oh.
So we can have...
My wife would like that feature.
So we can have a video playing, any sort of video. This is just a movie trailer. But if the client wanted their company video running, corporate video, we could have that running for them too. And then obviously here we've got an example of switching on and on off lights. I'm just going to close this off.
And again, for the benefit of our viewers, what you're doing on your side is silky smooth, and as it translates over our connection, it's a bit jumpy, and that's not the solution. It's just the connection that we have with our 3 continents and trying to do this. But if you can imagine do a complete immersive 3D tour of an unbuilt space, and you can restage the space in real time, whether it's the floor covering, the wall coverings, the fixtures, the molding. I think this opens up all kinds of possibilities. Well, yeah, Alex, why don't you talk a little bit about, when you see Amreet demo this, what's your reaction?
I want to change the channel on the TV in VR. That is my reaction.
Yeah, that's probably something that we can do too.
I thought so. I mean, this is why I like working with Amreet. It doesn't matter what I ask for, he delivers. It's that simple.
How do you, Axel, how do you think you'll progress with this particular solution, 3D View Surreal VR?
I think this is a solution that is very exciting for the prospect of interactive virtual reality experience centers for our customers. We work with some very, very large customers that have the resources to impart in when they go to a fair. They have the potential to show this and draw people to their booth in the fair, as well as having experience centers in their own offices. Where they invite selected people to evenings and meetings and such, where they can experience these kinds of unbuilt spaces, also having the possibility of, with some of the newest VR equipment, to change everything and just see it. That's, it's really cool.
I wonder if you have something similar in Stockholm. We get around in Atlanta, scanned I would call it a design built center. So a property management company that does hundreds and hundreds of homes, when they make a sale, essentially say to the customer, okay, make an appointment at the design center, and over on this wall are going to be the fixtures, and over on this wall are swatches of floor covering, and on this wall are swatches of window treatments. And they're all swatches, but it's this giant space. And essentially what we were doing was scanning the space so that the design center could be annotated. And yet I'm thinking, like, wow, why was that even necessary if you can have this kind of experience?
I mean, really what I think is amazing with these kinds of services is in combination with the Matterport, really, is potential for an MSP to be a one-stop shop for everything visual. I mean, it doesn't matter anymore if it's even there physically. I mean, look at this. It doesn't matter.
Well, I think to your point, maybe some of us think of ourselves as Matterport service providers. Maybe we should think of as, those are the go-to people for 3D, or they're the go-to for visual storytelling. Where do you want to be positioned in the mind of the client so that they get it, that it's not just, if you're looking at a slice of pizza, your pizza is not just Matterport. Your pizza is made up of a slice of Matterport, a slice of something like this 3D view, surreal VR, what we were looking at before, another version of rendering, 360 renderings, virtual staging, virtual landscaping. So it sounds like Axel, with Objekt360 in Stockholm, you figured out how to be positioned in the mind of your clients as the go-to for both built and unbuilt visualization.
Yes, I mean, we are running from Matterport side of things, operations with now 29 cameras across the country. And, all are branded with Objekt360, presented by, this text, as well as the word of mouth with the realtors and the builders and the commercial office lenders and such and so forth and so forth. Because basically what I think is that everybody who has picked up the Matterport camera has made an active choice to be on the forefront of visual technology. And I mean, if you want to stay ahead, you got to collaborate. Otherwise, you will get left behind. So working with teams like Amreet is, for our business philosophy, it's the way to go.
Terrific. Amreet, what else do you want to show us?
This is actually my favorite part of the room. If you've seen the video, you've seen what this is. It's a home cinema. Just to give you an idea, I mean, this looks amazing in VR, by the way. The fact that you can put the goggles on and you can actually bring up the sofa and you can actually sit on the sofa and you're actually in that space, that home cinema, and it feels exactly like the real thing. It is an amazing experience. So we actually have built out the space fully with home cinema seating. And maybe you can turn off the lights to give that really full immersion, like you're actually there. So, I mean, it's really unlimited opportunity, unlimited possibilities, unlimited options in terms of what you can do in terms of changes. Nothing we can't do for the client. I mean, for example, if the client wanted to change this to another bedroom, we could bring up a menu system and say, look, here's an option for the floor plan where you can click this button and this home cinema then changes to another guest bedroom for the basement level. So it instantly changes on the fly. So that's something that we can also do for the client.
You got me distracted watching James Bond in the
exit the room.
This is so awesome. It's really just congratulations. This is just like way cool.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so that's a run through of the Surreal VR service.
Okay. Was there something else you were going to show us visually? If not, let's take us off of screen sharing. We'll be a little bit easier to chat. Yep. So cool. Amreet, what else did you want to kind of add to the discussion, or things that you might want to ask Axel to chat about?
I was going to go on to the production process, but if you have any questions, or if Axel has any questions about those two services, by all means, I'm happy to.
Okay. Axel, are you hanging in with us, or are you taking off at this point?
I don't know how long we are running, but I have time, so.
Okay, then stay in and maybe give us some commentary. I'm still really curious about the process to say, okay, I'm a Matterport service provider. I get it. I'm innovative. I'm first quintile person. I like new things. I just watched this episode of WGAN-TV Live at 5. I've learned about 3D View in Melbourne, Australia. I've learned how Objekt360 in Stockholm, Sweden is using it. How do I get started? What's kind of the next step? Is there a process, Amreet, that you want to take us through? Or Axel, do you want to talk more about your?
You're probably pretty good to answer this. Since you started with Matterport and photography, how did you add our service? What was the thinking behind adding our services to your portfolio?
I mean, essentially, it's the thought of always being the one-stop shop. I mean, we are basically like Amazon is for buying things online. We are for visual services in our market here in Sweden. We want to make it easier for these poor souls who are the realtors, who know that there are very cool stuff out there, but they do not know the prices and they do not know how to get to it. And essentially, they just go to Google if they don't have partners like us working with them and helping them, holding their hands, learning from them what is they really want to do, what do they want to visualize, and what is the right product, what is the right budget, what is going to make them succeed in this endeavor for selling properties or renting or what it may be. So essentially, we got in contact with Amreet via, I think it was Google or something like this. Oh no, I think it was WeGetAround recommendations and such. We often use WeGetAround.
I think you've been a member since 2015. I hope something's run up here in terms of watching and getting some value out of us.
I've read my fair share of newsletters. Yes, I have. But no, we essentially just Googled and WeGetAround, of course, searching for different partners. Yes, we're now looking at our latest website. And we found Amreet and we started testing some projects, and then we did this 360 render that we were looking at in the beginning of the show with the rooftop with the drone and such. And I mean, after this, we started scoring, as you see on this slide there, with some really, really big clients in Sweden. These are some of the largest there is. So we stuck to it.
A little bit earlier, you were talking about everything branded Objekt360. Which link should I click on here to take a look at some things?
If you scroll down a little bit, we're now looking at the office commercial side of things, and you can then, I think we got back to our other site now.
Where should I click up here?
It's a K, it starts with the K, number 2, yes. Because essentially the first site we were looking at there is our Matterport side, because we have we are promoting our package, which is photography, still photography, a floor plan from Matterport, as well as Matterport. That is our product towards realtors. And what we're looking at now is our commercial side for office lenders, office sellers, as well as building new houses. And if you see the icons with the photo, 3D, virtual reality, you can press on these icons to see some examples of services and so on and so forth. So here we're looking at some render pictures. This is actually pictures before we met Amreet, so our quality today is higher thanks to our cooperation with 3DVUE. But something that might be interesting for you. I don't know, can I send a link in this chat, perhaps?
How about you share screen? Let me just, you see a little green icon at the bottom?
Yeah, I'm just gonna...
Before you share your screen, just have up on your desktop what you'd like to show us.
Yes, I can show you something that we were talking about previously today with the digital styling, which is really something that is, wow, it's really cool. So we have built this, there is a service on the internet for sliding image comparing. I'm sure most of everyone can find it on the Google. So if I click desktop, is this how I share?
So you click on the icon that says share screen, then select the portion on the screen that you'd like to share. And then there's probably...
I think it's this one. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
Like this.
Yep. Now we see your slider.
Yeah. So essentially, this is the before image, and with the slider,
the sharing just is not keeping up, so your screen just went blank on us. We can see you moving your cursor, but we don't see the image.
Fair enough. But I can send maybe some link or something.
Now we see it. Now we see half of it. Now you see it. Now you don't. Now we don't.
Okay, let's skip this screen share. Stuff. But essentially, I mean, basically working with Amreet, it's so creative. It's a very creative process. It's very easy, it's very flexible, and quality is very high.
And so, okay, so you figured out how to contact him. You contacted him. Can you talk a little bit about the workflow?
Yeah, absolutely. We are essentially, we started with working with business systems. So we have actually now managed to incorporate Amreet's preferred method of working. Correct me if I'm wrong, Amreet, but it's Slack, the Slack channels. It's a popular productivity web platform for products and so on and so forth. So we have in our CRM system, the project system, we can just click start a new channel with Amreet, and then we just, give him the information that he needs. And then we start communication. It's basically like chatting with someone on Messenger. Amreet never sleeps, even though we are in a totally different time zone. So really good communication, and things get done efficiently and according to the customers.
And what are some of the assets that you need to collect from a client? And I think maybe we're talking about a few different things. So we went over 3D renderings, 360 renderings initially. What were the kinds of things that you collected that enabled him to enabled 3D View to create the magic?
Oh, I really wish my English vocabulary was was at that level, but I can tell you that it's architectural information. I'm sure Amreet can explain these better for me, but floor plans is an essential part of it, as well as elevation drawings, how the building is built on the heights, not only the floor plan, as well as the exteriors, if they have, how the bushes are going to be or how the road is going to go by, and information like this. We used drone photos. We had to find out where the camera point. When I say the camera point is, if you look on the floor plan with a 360 image, you have to know where on the floor plan the 360 image is going to be based upon, like a Matterport spot. Where on the in the iPad, when you scan, is the specific spot located. So by the same means of working, you place on the floor plan the camera angle, which is 360, if this makes sense. And then from that chosen angle, you provide the details. So we're looking, Amreet needs to know basically what kind of color is this going to be, what material is going to be here, and what is happening outside the window, which is displayed when you look to the right.
So I think that's a kind of a two-part question for you, Amreet. Do you ever work off of Revit files? Do you like working off of Revit?
We can work off Revit files.
Or do you prefer
this is a whole
printed...
section that I've dedicated to this chat for production process. So I actually can go.
Forgive me, you're going to go into this. Okay, that's fantastic.
We can go through it now, or if you've got any other questions. Or
yeah, let's take us into the production, and I think that'll lead for some more questions.
Okay, I'm just going to share desktop. Just let me know if you can see.
Yeah, we can see a slide, architectural plans.
Okay, so here's the production process. So once we've initiated contact with the client or a WGAN member, for example, let's take Axel. He presents a project to myself and says, look, this is these are the specifications from the client. This is the brief, and this is what we need from you. So I will go back to Axel and say, okay, this is what I need from your client. The first thing we need is the architectural plans. So that's usually presented in either a Adobe PDF format, an AutoCAD DWG file, which the DWG file means drawing file. We can also use Revit. We can also use a SketchUp file.
And let me just add, if I may, forgive me, but I just could imagine that for many Matterport service providers, we absolutely just lost them. Okay. And so what I want to...
I'm going to show you, yep, I've got actual demos. I'm actually going to show you how it looks.
What I want to say to the Matterport service providers is, the WGAN Around Network Forum community is great. You just simply, if you don't know what a DWG file is, or .rft or .rvt, in one sense, you don't even need to know. You just need to know that it would help Amreet if he had a DWG file, a Revit file, whatever. And the architects, that's their language. And you just need to learn a few words to be able to say, oh, by the way, if you put a Revit file in a Dropbox, that's all we need. End of conversation. So don't please, if you're watching this and you feel like, oh my gosh, this is like a whole nother foreign language. I couldn't. Yes, you can. All you have to do is learn like 5 words to be able to ask your client who's already an architect, or if you're working with the general contractor, you say, hey, could you please ask your architect just simply put the Revit file for your community into a Dropbox? That's all we need. And you don't even have to understand what any of that meant. You just need those keywords to be able to ask. And that's what Amreet is giving us right now, is what are those things to ask for? And now he's giving us a chance to see what some of those assets look like.
Yeah, so these are example of a digital asset. Here, can you see this drawing? Yeah. All right. So this is provided by the architect as an Adobe PDF file. So this is the floor plan view, and then we also request a elevation view, so we can see what the building looks like from different viewpoints. So here we have, this is actually a 2-unit development, but and the unit that I'm going to be showcasing is this unit here. So this is the driveway. It goes down. We've got 1 unit at the front facing the street, and then we've got a unit at the back. So this is usually the most common document that is presented to us in terms of the digital assets that we require up front. I'm just going to jump back here. So I'll include Revit as one of the other options, and also if the client has a SketchUp file, that's something that we can also use. Now, the next thing that we request from a client is the materials and fitting selections. This applies both for the exterior facade and also the interior spaces. And obviously the fittings, what I mean by that is the kitchen fit outs, like the kitchen sink mixer, if they've got specific models for the oven, dishwasher, range hood, so on and so forth. I can actually show you an example of a very well put together and very detailed. This may disappear. I think I can click onto it. That's the landscape plan. Oh, by the way, this is a landscape plan. So we don't always get provided this. Essentially, what this is gives us an idea. If we're doing an exterior render, a landscape plan gives us an idea as to how we're supposed to, put grass, trees, plants.
What I love about looking at these original source documents is for someone like me, I absolutely cannot visualize what that space looks like. And my wife and I have met with friends. They were building a restaurant. They were so excited about it. They were taking us through the blueprints. We were doing our best to kind of understand the architect's visualization with drawings that looked like this. I absolutely could not. And that, I think that's the magic of what you do, is to be able to take this stuff and then turn it into magic so that we can actually visualize it as we would expect it to look like.
That's exactly right. That's what we do. So this is the landscape plan. And furthermore, your menu's popping up. If I can click into, might have to do this. Okay. This is an example of a material schedule for the exterior render, the facade render. So the client would say, these are the chosen colors and materials that we want you to incorporate in the visualization. Here is the camera angles that Axel was mentioning before. So sometimes usually it's myself who will provide this, who will give suggestions. So for this unit, say, okay, how do you find this particular camera angle from this point? Do you like that? So we'd take screenshots and we'd send it to the client and get their approval. I'm just going to showcase this document. This is an example of a very detailed materials specifications document outlining every material and fitting that is to go into this particular development. This is actually a apartment development. I think it's about 36, around that amount in terms of the number of units. So they go into incredible detail, and I love this. If a client can present this much detail to me up front, it makes my job a hell of a lot easier. And we can stick to the production schedule and make sure we can deliver for the client on time. So it's presented in a way that I can see examples of what the actual object or fitting is, the colors, and it's a brilliant document. So we don't always get this. Sometimes we don't get anything. and we're told, make it up on the spot.
Has it gotten to the point where the manufacturers have all their objects as 3D renderings to be able to bring it in, or we're not even close to that yet?
Okay, so for example, this handle, we have a library of pre-made 3D objects that we can import into our scenes and put them into the relevant places. So yeah, for majority of what you see here, we probably have a model. For example, these kitchen sinks, they already exist. If they don't, we would then advise the client, okay, we need to model it from scratch, and there'd be an extra fee for that. So that's that document, and just going to come back here. So that will fall under the specs document, specification document, material selection.
So again, for those that are listening, that are watching, this is literally, if you just take this list and you say, oh, if you give me your architectural plans, your materials and fitting selections, if you do happen to have any clay renderings or color renderings, we'll take that. But it's a short conversation, and generally it's an email, because the person you're emailing is really going to forward it on to the actual architect, who's then going to put stuff in a Dropbox for you. So again, if you're watching and you're thinking, oh, this is so complex, no, this is how you're going to make more money, by helping your clients solve real challenges today of pre-visualization of unbuilt spaces. And if you just provide these documents in a Dropbox, then you're in like Flint for 3DVUE to be able to take the next step.
That's right. And most architects and developers and builders know what is required up front. So they will automatically send you a Dropbox link with all this information already populated. So it'll make your job a lot easier. I'm just going to jump across to okay, so we have camera angles. So once we've received all the information that we need, all the digital assets that we require prior to commencing work, and we've chosen our camera angles, then we go ahead and go away and we actually produce what we call a clay render. And that is to give the client an idea as to what the actual building, or it would be that external or internal space, is going to look like. So this is an example of a clay render of that rear unit for this development. So we present this to the client and advise them, okay, check two things. One is the camera angle okay? Are you happy with that? Do you want to change that? The other thing is there anything architecturally incorrect in the actual model of the building? Is there something that's supposed to look different? We can then go ahead and make those revisions. So if the client would usually mark up this image and say, change this, change that, change the camera angle, maybe rotate a little bit more to the left, those sort of things. So they present usually a PDF document that's been marked up, and then we go ahead and do another clay render with those revisions in mind and present that to the client. Once we've reached a stage where the client is happy, then we go ahead and do the color render. So this example of that same shot, colorized, and also with some visualizing work done, and that is the landscaping. So then, once again, we'd send this to the client, and if they have any further revisions, they'd mark up the image. And we go through about 2, maximum 3 revisions before we present the final one. So it's just a minor modification in this case, some material changes and lighting changes. But yeah, so that's the production process. It's actually not difficult. Once you've gone through it once, it's very easy to replicate. So that whole process is applicable. This whole process, going from architectural plans right down to the final delivered colored render, is applicable to the 3D still image renders and the 360 panoramic renders. For the interactive services, it would be applicable from architectural plans, materials and fitting selections. Camera selection is irrelevant because the fact that you can walk through the home, it's not a still image. So these bottom 3 would be irrelevant. It would just be the architectural plans, materials and fittings. I guess you could say in place of the color renders would be a link that we would send the client of the first visualization of that particular space for Spark VR. So for example, if I jump back to this example, we do a first revision where maybe it didn't have any furniture. So the client would just be looking at it empty to approve the architecture to make sure that's all correct. Especially, for example, the kitchen has that been modeled correctly? Has the bathroom been modeled correctly? Once we've reached that stage, then we go ahead and would add the furniture in, based once again maybe off a mood board, spec documents, material board selections that the client would provide. An example of a material selection board would be something like this. So this is a photograph of the materials that will be used on different objects within that given space. So for example here, this black fluffy thing would be the carpet, and these tiles would maybe be used in the bathroom. Kitchen, here we have the timber floorboards. If there are lighting fixtures to be used, photographs will be provided.
I'd like to jump in here for a moment because, Amreet, again, I think some of us may take this for granted, but what we're looking at in that New York Chic material selection board is how clients presently are selling spaces. They're saying to the client, here are swatches of your floors, walls, tiles, etc., and expecting people to be making hundreds of thousands of dollars, kroners, if that's the right term for Sweden, making big money decisions off of a swatch board. And so that's how disruptive, in a good way, 3D View services can be, helping your client make sales faster for more money and do that sooner in the process. To me, it's almost frightening to send somebody off to a design center looking at fixtures and stuff all over the wall and the colors, or looking at a material board like this and like, well, of course it should be a completely rendered space in the way that I envision it. And I think that was some of the magical things of the 3D View interactive service, the Surreal VR, where you could literally change the space on the fly based on the customer's needs. And to me, that's what a design center feels like in the future. I sit down in a 360-degree swivel chair and I'm handed a HTC Vive or something. And as I'm looking at it, the conversation is, should we make the walls lighter or darker? Do you like the floor? So presently we have wood. Would you prefer stone? Is the stone? Do you like small tiles of stone or big tiles of stone? And all of a sudden, in real time, while I'm immersed in this experience, I'm completely immersed in an interactive experience that's being built on the fly around me. Axel, does that resonate with you in terms of where you think you're going? Am I just making all this up?
I can give you a concrete example where I was in a large head office of a large office real estate owner, really. And they were, 45, 50 years of age, ties and white collar, I think you say, with suits. They were wearing virtual reality, exploring a architectural space and being able to switch around the colors and move the chairs. It was like they were 12 years old again. They were just running around and it was crazy. So really, this technology, it's amazing. It's so much potential.
Yeah. Cool. And that is what we're actually aiming for. So we've presented this technology to volume home builders who have like you said, a design building. Where
if you're not showing anything more, let's come out of the screen share unless you were still going through your slides.
No, I think we are out of, hang on, stop sharing.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. What like I was saying, just following on from your point, I have showcased this to clients who have those design inspiration buildings where users can come in and see swatches, and they really like the idea. And I'm hoping that this is a tool that will benefit them greatly, and close the sales process, make that smaller. because at the moment it is quite convoluted in terms of too much information, too much visual information is presented to the customer, too many options. So if you can make that smaller, and I think this is pretty much where this tool is its main strength.
Yeah, I would say 3DVUE is creating magic to help clients make more money faster with less stress. I mean, it's as simple as that. We could probably watch all day because we'd just personally be fascinated to see how you do this, but let's just call it magic. And, I think any of us that are out trying to hustle Matterport and we walk into a property management company that's, managing 50 properties and they got 5 that are being built, you may be thinking, oh, I'm really interested in scanning, the place that exists. Well, you really have to start shifting your thinking to say, oh, they got 5 properties they're building. All those other Matterport photographers, they're going to wait 18 months before they start knocking on the door here. I can already be talking to the client about pre-sales and making the sales sooner and getting the most money, and probably even reducing the amount of money that they're going to spend on marketing. Because if they wait for the space to be built and then they're running all kinds of traditional advertising, because they're all traditional marketers, now all of a sudden they don't even have to spend the money that they were reserving for traditional marketing, because the pre-visualization, Axel, are you nodding your head? Am I going in the right direction here?
No, you are absolutely correct. I mean, this is how you get to these clients. For them, they don't want 2 providers. They want 1 provider. And if you are going to give them a successful for their 5 unbuilt spaces, then I promise you, they will go to you first for their already built spaces. It's everything. It hangs together. It's for these people who order these services, you are, in their head, you should be the same. A Matterport and a 3D renderer, for them, it's all the same. So yeah, being able to
But for them, it is the same. It's the go-to for all my visualization, whether it's existing space or pre-built space, and whatever that looks like. But I think my takeaway, Amreet, looking over everything you're doing, and again, I would just define it as magic. It's very exciting. It's easy for us all to get caught up in, wow, you can change the colors and the tile on the floor. And I think that's tactically the kinds of stuff that you do. But I think we just need to elevate it one more level and say what matters to your client. You got to stay obsessed with your client. What your client cares about is selling out that property for the most money as soon as possible, because they want the cash, and it will mean increasing their profit, because they won't have to have spent a large sum of money that they've reserved down the line. So when you're talking to your client, you can show these kinds of examples, but don't get caught up on the part about changing the floor covers and this stuff, unless you relate it back to your client about how that's going to help you close the sale, because now the client can visual, a potential buyer or leaser or renter or whatever it might be, you've helped them visualize exactly what the place is going to look like for them. The floor has been changed, the wall covering's been changed, even that you were showing us the sink, different kind of sink solution. So now it's so disruptive, because you don't even have to build the design center in the way that we think about here in the United States, because it's all virtually done. And I think, Axel, earlier in the program, you were talking about how much it costs to actually physically stage a space. And then all of a sudden you have this virtual staging of space, which is so disruptive in a good way, because it saves the client a ton of money, and it can be done faster, and it can be changed.
Yes, very much so. And I mean, we should not forget the fact that the realtors, at least in my market, they are fighting to differentiate themselves from their competitors, because basically the only thing that differs them, yet again, in my market, is different brands. It's just different colors. That's it. It's the same service, same kind of person, the same, pictures, floor plans, MLS, everything. It's the same process.
I think I think I heard you had two kinds of clients. First, you have the end user client. They're the person that owns the building. They're trying to sell the building. They're trying to lease the building. So if you think about those clients, it's about how can I lease or sell the space the fastest for the most money with the least amount of hassle. And then you have this other kind of client, which is I'm an agent. And you think, well, how does the agent make money? The agent makes money by getting more properties to help sell. And I think many of us, particularly in the United States, have run into, oh, the property's going to sell. How many times have we heard that? Oh, I don't need to do a Matterport Spaces 3D tour. Thank you for showing me that, but the property will sell. So you can see that's not the sell about the dollhouse view and everything else. What the positioning is this, whatever X is going to help you get more listings. It's going to help you move up the food chain in bigger listings, and then to repeat that cycle more often. And I think while we looking at 3DVUE's architectural rendering services, that's the tool to say if your space isn't built or the space needs to be, you have two kinds of audiences, and for the agent, broker, the person that's representing the property, focus on how this is going to differentiate their marketing plan to get more and bigger premium listings more often. And I think, Axel, you're actually experiencing that by differentiating your company. Objekt360 is the go-to for visualization, built, unbuilt, and then helping your clients in those two branches of I'm the owner of the property, or I'm the agent broker for the property.
Exactly. This is very much what is happening. The fact that they need different kinds of services for different kinds of cases. I mean, one day they need to show a building that's not built, and the next day they need to show some renters for a apartment how they get down to the washing area or something like this. So it just, I mean, one day it's drone photo, one day it's Matterport, one day it's 360 render, that's just wow, and another day it's just a picture digital styling. But the key is, having access to partners and pros and being able to offer all these kinds of stuff so that you can really grab the client.
Awesome. Amreet, what else would you like to cover today?
That's pretty much it. I just want to say that to make this whole process easy for all the WGAN members, I'm going to put together a kit. And in that kit is going to include documentation, pretty much a summarization of what we've discussed today, focusing more on the actual process of how to go about selling our services, reselling our services, along with examples of our work that I'm giving completely white label to be used on clients' websites. So that's 3D renders, the Spark VR example, and also a Surreal VR video, which can be embedded on the client's websites.
In the case of Surreal VR, because that lives in the Unreal Engine, rather than having people embed the engine, license the engine in order to show it, you've created a video that helps show off the Surreal VR that we've been looking at. And then I think if I've heard you correctly, very exciting is that 3DVUE is going to create white label versions of all the examples. So simply stated, a Matterport service provider, a visual storyteller, can embed examples in their website under their brand without signaling to a client that the service is coming from 3DVUE. And I think at the same time, what Axel, I think, is pointed out, that once you finally have the business, it's perfectly fine to be transparent that this service is provided by 3DVUE, and because your client's looking to you as the trusted relationship and one order every service, that's working for you. You don't have to keep 3DVUE as transparent in forever. I think that's what I'm hearing, is that process seems to work for you, Axel. Is you're gonna, if you need to conference in the client, it's not Objekt360 in Melbourne, Australia. It's Amreet with 3DVUE.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we try to be transparent in everything we do because I think it's a more modern way of doing things. So yes, absolutely.
In terms of pricing, what I don't want to ask for dollars, and I don't want to ask for or kronas or whatever. What I'm trying to understand is when you initially talk to a client, generally I think they probably want to know a ballpark. So do you kind of go back and forth and say, you know, oh, that thing that we've now seen is how did that process work?
I get this question all the time, and really I would like to turn it around, and it's not about asking them what the cost is in the ballpark. It's about asking them, what is your budget? Because simply tell me what you need to be done. What is the purpose? Who is the buyer? And what is your budget? Because that's how we work with these kinds of things. I can tell Amreet give me some, quick stuff, delivered today or tomorrow, something like this. The client will be happy. They don't have high demands. Or I can tell Amreet, okay, wow, they got 4 competitors. The budget is really large. We need to do something mind-blowing on this one. So I'd recommend to try to get to a level in your sales pitch when you're talking with people about this kind of stuff, that you turn the question on them and tell them, what is your budget? How much love do you want us to put into this project? You get better results, because ballpark, when you look at these kinds of services, it's so hard to price.
Yeah. I mean, I think we could probably talk on this topic for an hour. And I think just to add to that, because I love that, just ask people, because, if they tell you it's X and you come back at 10X, no matter how nice it is, they have X as their budget item. On the other hand, I think it's certainly, because I know we get it. I mean, it's the first question anybody asks. They send an email, they make a phone call to We Get Around in Atlanta, and they say, well, how much does it cost? And I love to ask the question of, tell us what you want to accomplish, so, and it's a different conversation. If they're trying to get business, that's different than they're trying to sell the house or they're trying to lease the property. So maybe we take just one example and say they're the owner of the building and they want to lease or sell it. So I think a great question would be, well, when would you typically sell or lease out the space? So that gives you a timeline. And then the question is, well, how much money would you typically get? That gives you kind of, what the potential sale is. Okay. And if you know that the building is worth this much as a lease, I guess like a lease or a sale, now the question is, well, how much money would you be willing to spend in order to sell that in a reduced time frame? Because I would imagine you have another budget that when your property comes online that you're going to market. So if we can save you from having to spend some or all of that budget that you've allocated, and you could sell or lease your space faster, and maybe in that short period of time get a premium because you're able to test pricing maybe earlier in the process, how much is that worth to you? That I think if the client was even thinking X, by the time you ask 3 questions about how long will it normally take to sell out, how much money will you get, and what kind of pie do you have left to market once it's ready, you might find a client that tells you your budget is X, that you might be able to get 2, 3, 4, 5, 10X, because it's worth it to the client if they can sell or lease the space faster for more money and never have to spend what they originally budgeted for marketing. Again, am I making that up, or does that sound like a reasonable?
No, absolutely. I mean, it sounds like a natural way of, to put them in the right line of thinking, really. I mean, because essentially, if we're looking at someone who is selling a house or someone who is renting out a office space or whatever it may be, every day that it's not sold or it's not rented is a day that they're either losing financial risk or they're taking financial risk if they've built a large property and want to invest in the next venture. Or if they are an office renter, then you can just do the counting. If you contact one of your local office renters, ask him what is the price per square feet, and you just do the maths backwards. I mean, how much are they losing per day per square feet in your area, and just use that argument towards the client. I mean, if you cut time for them, the prices for these kinds of services is nothing. It's empty houses is what's costing money for house builders and office renters.
Terrific. So let's wrap up. I'm going to start with Axel. Again, tell us your full name, your company, and the website so that we go back and take a look at your website, and just so we have some context here.
My full name is Axel von Krusenstierna Engvall. I am a co-founder of Objekt360, a initially Matterport service provider based out of Stockholm, Sweden. My website would be objekt360.com.
That's OBJEK 360 dot.
It's actually OBJEKT 360. And you can either hit us up on .se for our Matterport site or .com for our visual services as a whole partner site.
Great. And Axel is also your company, Objekt360, 2018 Maddie Award winner of the year, if I have that correct.
Yes, that is correct.
Congratulations. That's awesome. So, and thank you for joining us on the show today. I think it's just added a whole lot of wonderful insight as we've been going through 3D View services with the director, Amreet Gill. Amreet, any final word that you want to add?
Well, first I want to say thank you to Axel for joining the conversation today. I really appreciate your time. To finish up, like I said, I'm going to put together a kit which I'm going to showcase with the WGAN Forum team, and I'm also going to provide some general pricing to the community to let them know, to give them an idea of how much our services cost. It's different to Matterport and photography and even drone photography, the way we price our services, because each project is different. It's never the same. So we have a very dynamic pricing structure. We can give an idea, we can provide an idea, a general idea in terms of pricing. And I'm also looking to provide quite a substantial discount for the community for our services. So I will hopefully we'll have that in the next week, maybe possibly by the end of this week.
Great. Today is Tuesday, March 20th, 2018. If you're all are watching on YouTube, WeGetAroundNetworkForum.com, no hyphens, WeGetAroundNetworkForum.com to find the community. One final thing, let's get a little selfie here we got a thumbnail for our big smile. Got it? Bigger. Good. Hopefully YouTube found that as the thumbnail. We won't have to go do that. So Axel, thank you so much. Amreet, thank you. You've been watching WGAN-TV live at 5 from Atlanta, Georgia, from Stockholm, Sweden, and Melbourne, Australia. Thank you all for joining us. WGAN-TV live at 5. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. So I've stopped the screen sharing there, and I'm going to